Hey, what's up? It's Dominic D'Angelo of adfreeshows.com, SEScoops.com, and OneTrueSportTV.com. But it is Rumor and Innuendo, and I am here with none other than Robert Karpelis, WE Creative _ish. The gang is back together, Robert. How you doing, man?
Dude, 2 days in a row, you didn't send me the invitation. I'm sitting, I'm waiting, I'm ready to go. Nothing.
Zilch.
I was away, folks. I was back. I was out for a work thing. Apologies that I could not be here to talk all of the exciting things. And I can't pretend that you don't have that mustache.
I know, right?
What is please tell me this is for some role. Like while I was away, you got cast as Roderick Strong's stunt double.
No, somebody asked if I would bring the stash back, and I brought it back. I only wanted to keep it for a day, but I forgot to shave it off.
Who asked you? Like what person in your life that wants to see the world burn said, you know what we need is no the hand gesture. Everything about this looks like you should not be allowed within 500 feet of a school.
It was a rumor and innuendo that Antonio Santos was the first.
Oh, well, that guy is he's just trying to stir up the pot. Let's say it's hi to some of the folks who are joining us live, who are not encouraging debaucherous facial hair. Stuart Green, what's up, everyone? I watched the Dynamite last night. I thought it was a decent show, but bless Shivani for describing the crowd as going wild for Moxley's return when they were mild at best. Christopher Zanto, good morning. Rumor writes, this isn't your YouTube anymore. Okay.
We're taking it over.
Yes, good morning. Alt Jake says, good morning. Who's with Dom today? My name's Robert. Nice to be here. Appreciate you for coming in. And Wrestling Old Head, good after morning, R&I. I take back what I said about Page. He is built to snap and become Hangman Magnum Page, and it's going to be great stuff. Do you think you're going to be hosting a podcast with Adam Page when all is said and done?
Straight talk with Hangman. Yeah. Hangman with Hangman. Playing Hangman with Hangman. Something like that. We'll think.
Maybe we don't brainstorm right now, Dom. Maybe we move into the fact that we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. All In happened. That was that was several days ago, and this was the fallout from All In. The fall in.
The fall in.
The fall out, because we're going into All Out. How about that? There was other stuff that happened in the wrestling world while I was away. The WWE Performance Center relocated and then unrelocated, which is remarkable. I saw a flood of messages from people saying, oh my God, they're moving to Vegas, they're relocating. And then it's like, no, they're not. Yeah. Very briefly, just to touch on that moment, they're not going to move to Las Vegas, Nevada, because the purpose of NXT is for the young talent to be able to work in front of live audiences. And they run shows all throughout the state of Florida. You're not going to have that same opportunity in Nevada to be able to run those types of shows, which defeats the purpose of having a development camp. The idea that UFC's headquarters there, they're not running MMA shows in like Reno.
Yeah.
Or Pahrump, Nevada.
Pahrump,
Nevada, which I only know because of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip.
Wow.
The other news, my plane landed. I turned on my phone on Monday, and I had 40-something missed text messages. And I had two thoughts. This is how messed up my life is. A relative died or a pro wrestler died. Sure enough, unfortunately, Sid Udy, Psycho Sid, Sid Justice, Sid Vicious had passed away. I just wanted to take just a moment at the top to say I was a huge Sid fan. As a kid, seeing him in WCW, seeing him in WWF when he came out as Sid Justice, that he was going to, be the special referee and the man that was going to call it down the middle. His turn on Hogan, when he jumped down from that is a seminal wrestling moment right there. When Sid came back to the WWF in the mid 90s, he was such a guilty pleasure. Like, I loved watching Sid footage. Peek behind the curtain when I worked at WWE, and we used to have to quality QC shows before they go on the air. We would all kind of fight over who got to watch the show that had Sid on it. Because the Sid matches were always so just goofy fun. He was dominant. He was over. The clearest way I can point this out was I was messaging with Lance Storm, whom I've been friends with for many years, love and respect his view of pro wrestling. Even he was like, Sid, like I remember seeing Sid in '89, and that dude was insanely over and fully respected what Sid was able to do in that role. So even the guys that were more technical based, more clinically skilled wrestlers can understand and appreciate and love the role that Sid could play in wrestling. And he was, mocked at the time a lot for the softball thing.
Sure.
And it kind of, much like the CM Punk pipe bomb, predicted a lot of where wrestling was going. Sid and his ideology is not out of the realm of what people want to see now, which is letting wrestlers take time away from the industry, letting them have the opportunity to work almost in a seasonal basis. Whereas in WCW and in WWF, he was on the road, 5, 6, 7 days a week. He had a passion. He had something he loved outside of it. And the only way he would get to do it would be to, fake injury or just quit. And they would just keep bringing him back because the dude is tall.
He's tall. He's got I said this on Monday's show or Tuesday's show after he passed, was that he's got that prototype look of what you would think of an 80s and 90s pro wrestler to be. And like the fact that he was able to go and come back and kind of almost like in a mercenary role in certain ways, and still become like a world champ, a WWE champion, and have that moment too, pretty darn impressive for somebody to be able to do that.
Can I make a non-mustache related request from you?
Absolutely, yes.
The next time, which I believe will be this Thursday, you record with Rob Van Dam.
Correct. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Oh God, it's already Wednesday. Wait, what day is today?
Today's Thursday.
Wednesday. Today's Thursday?
Yeah, we had to reschedule.
Dude, I am totally out of the realm of what day of the year it is. You gotta ask him about him in ECW, because him in the jeans with Judge Jeff Jones was so fun. He was basically 911 in part 2, and it was just a delight. Yeah. And I'm sure there's got to be one or two good Rob Van Dam Sid stories floating around out there.
Absolutely. We talked about it a couple times. He talked about doing a squash match with him and how Sid was generous and gave them extra money, him and the guy he was jobbing with. And then on top of it too, Rob mentioned how he would have loved to face Sid one-on-one in a singles match, and he thinks that he could have had a really great match with him. But Sid was hurt at the time and cut a match short with X-Pac, and did not want to do that because, but Rob, all about Sid, huge fan of him. So we'll be definitely talking about him tomorrow night. Tune in at 9 p.m.
Stop shilling.
So there we go. Let's shell a little bit of Dynamite, huh? You want to do that?
Yeah, sure. That works.
Okay. Yes. So Dynamite kicks off. Fall in, if you will, fall out. But we had Jon Moxley make his return to what was a weird audience and a weird promo confronting Tony Schiavone, saying it's not his company anymore. And then we get a little bit more of Moxley later on with Marina Shafir. Looks like it's laying the groundwork for something, Robert, but let's get your perspective.
Man, that crowd, they stunk.
They were not good.
Is that a polite way? The Fighting Illini, who up until this point I only associated as the people who took Ron Zook off the Gators' hands. Now, they're also one of the worst audiences I think that AEW has ever performed in front of. Very flat for the majority of that show. Moxley coming back on this episode was, I like this because they were trying to treat this like this is the Raw after WrestleMania. Sure. If All In is their WrestleMania, the Raw after is we're realigning our trajectory. We're telling a different story. And the best way to do that is let's bring somebody back who we haven't seen in a while. And we haven't seen Moxley on TV in a while. He definitely looked more heelish. The fact that he first comes out to talk about Darby was strange because we just saw an All In Bryan Danielson winning the world title. I don't know if you're aware of this, Dom. Darby is not part of the Blackpool Combat Club, but Bryan Danielson is, as is Jon Moxley. Oh. So you would have thought there would have been some sort of attaboy, or conversely, I saw what that guy did. I don't care about the Blackpool Combat Club. I'm coming for you. Instead, it was, hey, Darby, who's not here because he just lost a casket match. I want to talk to that guy. Okay. And then, hey, Tony, you're not running this company anymore. Shivani, you're not running this company anymore. Well, of the 14 different authority figures that exist in All Elite Wrestling, Shivani is not one of them on camera.
Yeah.
We know that it's Tony Khan's company. We know that there are the EVPs who are running around there on TV. It's Christopher Daniels, who seems to be a mouthpiece of that entity. Shivani is a humble announcer. We know in real life, behind the scenes, Tony has a lot of responsibilities, wears a lot of hats, wears a lot of ill-fitting suits. Love you, Tony. But that felt very, very strange.
It did. It really did. And like, the only thing I'm thinking is like, is he doing like an R-Truth where he's mixing up Tony Schiavone, Tony Khan, and just doing that? But it did not. I like seeing Moxley. I think he's got a great look coming back, but it's all what you said. Like no reference to, his Blackpool Combat Club team members, no reference to Danielson, referencing Darby Allin out of nowhere. It just seemed very put there and unexpected. I don't know. I like seeing Moxley back, and
But
maybe
that is not the last of Jon Moxley on this show.
no, it
We'll
is
get
not.
to that later.
It's not. Yes. We also starting off with first match, Tomohiro Ishii taking on Hangman Page, and what was a long match. I liked the match itself. I thought it got Ishii sold very well for Hangman, and it made Hangman look even more credible and fired up. Then we get Swerve confronting him after the match and going into that. But Robert, let's get your thoughts on all this going on for the opening match.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's yes. On the one hand, it's an outsider. I've said my piece on that numerous times. If you're going to bring in an outsider who now the audience is somewhat familiar with, he did compete at your last pay-per-view on the pre-show. He's been on TV for quite some time now. You can use him to feed to a guy like Hangman Adam Page. The match was a surprising back and forth. It was a tough Hangman that he needed because since his return, he has been somewhat ineffective. The showdown with him and Swerve, guys, mark this down. It's 12:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. I'm praising AEW for following up on something that happened on a pay-per-view, so it didn't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Hangman Page interfered at the pay-per-view. We saw him get a little bit of comeuppance with Swerve here. It was a lot of back and forth talking. And like you said, this was a very competitive match with Ishii. Minor nitpick. I would have liked for him to have been tired. He did just go through a very tough, very physical, athletic contest. You should not be having that much of a conversation.
Right.
The conversation was, dude, you cut a promo on my baby. And then it was like, oh, I was like stalking your wife and watching you, give birth. But I was going to let you be and you go be a dad because you're not built to be a champion. And then you interfered. And now we're going to face each other in a solid steel cage. How did this resonate with you, Dom?
So I liked the kind of like Hangman. I liked the setup. I should mention that Excalibur was talking about like how Hangman came out and was noting about like really paying attention to kids in the crowd about like, and the Danielson thing really upset him and certain things like that. So it's kind of setting the tone for that. And then Swerve, what he had to say was very evil and things like that. And, further that along. But Hangman, his response left me hanging. Like it did not hit when Swerve said something about his wife watching his pregnant wife and going to the hospital and stuff like that. Immediately, you would think from a baby face, even if not a baby face, but what Hangman's been focused on, he would have slugged Swerve right there, and the fight would have But Hangman just stood there and kind of like took it in and everything like that, and then ultimately walked away after the match was made. And so I liked it in certain ways. I did not like the ending of it, and I did not like Hangman not kind of sticking up for his family in certain ways. How about you, Robert?
I don't disagree. I think that it should have been it was definitely highly charged and emotional, but that seemed to be the theme of the night. Highly charged and emotional. The big takeaway, and we were chatting about this on our group text, and the Working Stiff group text. I said one of the things with AEW right now is the inconsistency of what they deliver on their broadcast. You're opening up after a really hot show with Jon Moxley, who doesn't say anything of any real note. So that momentum you're building doesn't really have any place to go. Then you follow it up with a very good Ishii Hangman Adam Page match. You're heating up that Page, get you an all-out match, because we've got 15 days and now 14 days, whatever it is, however many days there are until that pay-per-view. They did not give themselves a lot of runway. So yeah, let's idiot-proof it and give them a big match. And then you go to a returning Jamie Hayter against Harley Cameron in what was a very short match. Effective, but a very short match.
Right, it was. It's good to get Hayter back in the mix of everything and things, and still seeing Saraya at ringside too is another thing to note. I think I don't know what the status is and what she's going to go moving forward with AEW, but Hayter being there, and yeah, it was a quick one, and that's all we got for women's matches for the evening too. To be noted as well.
It was quick, and it wasn't even at 9:30, so I was a little confused as to what I was watching. But from a storyline perspective, I'll be honest, the very first thought I had when I saw Jamie Hayter's opponent music, I was like, oh no, are they really giving away her and Saraya? Right. So I was thankful that they're not, and we're building to something. So I'll take that. We got an MJF promo.
Mm-hmm.
This is where you really felt that crowd not being there.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
This was, my Working Stiff co-hosts are all professional comedians. They understand what it is when you are bombing. And sometimes you just have to grit your teeth and power through it. That was what MJF did. It was a good promo. It was a strong promo. There was a lot of heat in that promo. And that audience was not having it. Him denouncing the country, him basically saying that he's, I'm the guy who defended you guys. No one had my back. I'm going to come after you, Will Ospreay, and when you don't know it, I'm going to cut you off at the knees, and I'm going to cost you a real title, which is the world title. Liked all of it. Like the messaging, like the setup. That we're not through with Ospreay and MJF quite yet. He invokes the name of Danny Garcia, who unfortunately he doesn't look all that intimidating. And then you had a back and forth brawl.
Mm-hmm.
And it led to yelly, shouty Danny Garcia threats where I think he gave too much away.
I agree, yeah.
I think if all you had was an MJF promo, he talks ill of Danny Garcia, Garcia comes running out, there's a pull-apart brawl, cool. If there's a pull-apart brawl and they announce there's going to be a match, cool. Do not give me the why in that same sentence. Do not say, you made me get carted out in front of my mother. I pawned your ring. It's in Buffalo. Like, so much exposition.
Yeah.
When you had that same kind of fiery, passionate exposition in the Swerve Hangman promo earlier, it's not that it was bad. It just was not necessary here.
Yeah, they set the tone. Like MJF with his opening promo there in regards to Ospreay kind of was setting the tone even more. And then he built up to Garcia. Garcia coming out, confronting him made a lot of sense. Even a pull apart did. But yeah, it's just like a lot to take in for one segment in general. And it's kind of expand that a little bit over time. I will say, I think Garcia spoke well with conviction and got that across. But is this going to be a match we're looking forward to at all? And anything MJF's pretty much involved in, I'm kind of invested in, just from the base level of it all. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of execute it for All Out.
It is, and I would have liked to have seen him selling the neck a little more, since they did build up the tire driver. I mean, look, he definitely made you believe that his neck was stiff. And guys, if you want to make sure that she believes that you're stiff, our show is sponsored by Blue Chew. If you want to be as hard as the summer day is long, then get yourself a Blue Chew and bring the summer heat. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA, despite the fact that MJF has renounced this country, and they are prepared and shipped directly to your door. Guys, you don't need to be like Danny Garcia. You don't need a lot of talk. You just need a little bit of action, because Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code RUMOR, to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo.
Yes, thank you, Blue Chew. Thank you. Were you thankful for the learning tree and Roderick Strong taking on Hook and his team as well? With the
Guys, Blue Chew will help your dick, and Jericho can chug on a bag of dicks instead of this 8-man tag, which was a weird hodgepodge. The positive, we're all about positivity here.
Yes.
Suddenly. At the end of the match, when Roderick Strong tapped and his foot was under the ropes, you went, okay, we've got a new challenge for him and Hook. That was all you needed. Mm-hmm. You didn't need the Undisputed Kingdom coming out after. You did get one of the most hilarious moments unintentionally on Dynamite, was Jericho being held back by security and clearly not doing anything. And I don't think he realized it was on camera. It was kind of like, It was remarkable. But yeah, look, we've got another match that will probably get it all out, which is Strong and Hook. I'm not super excited about it, but I think it's going to be better than the learning tree stuff that we saw before. It got Briscoe on TV, so I'll take that as a win any day of the week.
Yeah, it's always nice to see Mark Briscoe, and this is like, you don't get a lot of the Kingdom, and when you do, it's just kind of like, where are they fitting in at? This kind of makes a little sense, that them going up against Hook and everything like that. It should be an intriguing, more intriguing matchup than what Hook's been through. Let's see here. We got backstage segment, Private Party and Mercedes Moné with Okada. Okada's still in the comedic role here. Do you like it? Are you thinking this is wearing out its time a little bit, or what do you think there, Robert?
The set dressing could have used a little more work.
Okay.
Some balloons and a single little CEO sign. If it's Mercedes and you want to go all out for something, no pun intended, do it. We saw on the other channel the celebration for Nia Jax.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of nonsense there. I think Camille and her role was good. I didn't realize Private Party are still around. Good for them. I know they competed at All In. Fine. If this ends with Mercedes and Okada as a couple, okay. But they are just so in the weeds on the comedy stuff with Kazuchika Okada. When we saw last week the return of the Rainmaker a little bit in his match with Claudio, and then we saw what he did during the Gauntlet match. It's fine if it's supposed to be endearing. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the stuff they did with Funaki or Tajiri, where wrestling fans we're dumb. We're very dumb people. And the idea of, oh, he doesn't speak our language, he must be a simpleton. And, oh, he said a word in English, that's adorable, good for you. That doesn't work when you're the heel. Mm-hmm. So him saying bitch is not like, oh, that's really cool. It's like, this is weird shtick you give to a guy that can't wrestle, let alone a guy who's probably one of the best wrestlers in the world, as we keep being told without actually being shown.
That's it. It's neat that they're kind of a pair, Mercedes and Okada, but you want to see Okada's almost in the same realm that they've been going through with Hangman in the early stages of AEW, where you see him in one light and then you see him in a different light, and it's just like, where is he going to lay out? I mean, they set a precedent for some of this stuff. You want to hope that they kind of learn and kind of boost Okada up in a bigger way. Private Party pairing with Mercedes Moné, I was a little bit more optimistic. I thought maybe that they could have maybe done something, have them be her lackeys in a way, and kind of get them back to a little bit more relevancy. But it doesn't seem like they're going that route. We'll see though. Up next, we had 2 promos by the Grizzled Young Vets.
Before that, we had Mariah May, who came out to take off her robe to show that she was wearing very conservative lingerie compared to what her ring gear is, and a championship, because she's postponing her title celebration, which is again something Nia Jax did. And then yes, we got a Grizzled Young Vets promo to get to a Grizzled Young Vets promo. It's a hat on a hat, and that's what you saw a lot here. We've got 3 minutes left. Do we want to spend our time talking about the Grizzled Young Vets, or should we focus on Kyle Fletcher and Ricochet?
Let's focus on that. Yeah, Ricochet took on Kyle Fletcher. Ricochet obviously got the win, being his debut match. Good match, but there seemed to be a little chemistry mishaps in there too, I would say, Robert. But it was Ricochet did look good overall, and was doing some stuff that we normally didn't see in WWE.
They always preach more of a slower approach and more psychological, and this was him getting to take the restrictor plate off and doing a lot of wacky stuff. Some of it's going to be great, some of it's going to not be so great. Very similar to what you would see sometimes with Rob Van Dam, where, you know, part of the charm sometimes was if there was a screw up or a botch or whatever it was. But the match, I thought, was you know, overall totally fine. Ospreay coming out after to tease an Ospreay Ricochet match. That was cool. Pac continuing to remember that he is a challenger for that title.
Yes.
Though I'm pretty sure he won the 6-man tag titles with Claudio and Wheeler Yuta.
That's right. He did.
Pretty sure he was in the babyface celebration for Bryan Danielson.
That's right. He was. And
now he's a heel going after Will Ospreay.
He is.
Neat. I thought Dynamite was over because it was 9:57.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, no. Take that, folks tuning in for Modern Family. We got us a Bryan Danielson promo.
Did you want to touch upon Moxley's little segment with the Marina?
That's how the show ended.
Oh, you're right.
Sorry. You're right. It was Moxley, then Bryan. I apologize. Yeah. Looked at my notes. So Moxley's in the back, and he's talking like Uncle Howdy.
Mm-hmm.
The path of the righteous goes through the stream of the sheep that look through the eye of a hurricane, or some nonsense. Beats up an extra, or looks like he's about to beat up an extra, and then this woman starts attacking. I'm like Jim Ross. That damn woman, that Jezebel. And then she turns around, and I'm like, wait, is that Marina Shafir? But they're not saying it's her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's beating up dudes and then staring at the camera like I'm supposed to know who Marina Shafir is. And then I'm like, is she part of the, you know, that Pasta Fusion collective on Raw?
Pasta Fusion.
And instead, they eventually were like, why is Marina Shafir here? And I'm going, I have less than no idea. What is the point of that?
Right.
Who was clamoring for a Marina Shafir push? Even Roderick Strong isn't being like, you know who really needs a push? Marina Shafir. That was weird. Bryan comes out. He talks about how winning the title was the greatest day of his life, how it meant a lot to his daughter. He seemed rejuvenated. He seemed energized. He teased the whole, I got to go for neck surgery. I got to go away for a while, but not now. It'll happen, but not today. And then he throws out an open challenge. I'm trying to get through this very quickly because there's not that much time left. Darby Allin is the number one contender for the AEW World Title because he won the Grand Slam, won the Battle Royal to face him at Grand Slam.
Correct.
Christian Cage won the number one contendership slot by winning the Gauntlet match at All In.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So they throw an open challenge out that nobody knew was going to happen because Bryan concocted this in his brain. So Jack Perry pre-records a promo on the off chance Brian's going to throw out an open challenge just so he can jump him.
Yeah.
And some people wonder why I occasionally say Tony could probably use a writer or two to work with on this.
Right.
Someone who's going to be like, hey, TK, love what you're doing. Think this is great. This don't make a lick of sense. Let's try to fix that.
Right.
You know who would have had a field day with this kind of stuff?
Who?
Old school guys like a Magnum TA or Greg Gagne. But how would I ever know what Magnum TA and Greg Gagne have to say about wrestling?
My goodness, Robert. Well, if you go to fourhorsemannetwork.com today or onetruesporttv.com today at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll hear
Sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but I was almost going to say I'm pretty sure the Four Horsemen Network Arn tribute to Sid might not be floating up there anytime soon.
I don't think I think they touch upon Sid. They do touch.
Got cut for time.
Yes, but you will hear about probably about Sid on Gagne and Magnum today, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in, fourhorsemannetwork.com and onetruesporttv.com. Also, a new episode, Rob Van Dam, dropped on Monday, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. RVDTV.com. He covers some good ground about Cauliflower Alley Club, and we talk some good stories about how Jack Lanza taught him to throw a good working punch. So more on that. Tune in, RVDTV.com. So there you go. Robert?
When I'm done with this show today, I'm about to go record with Scott Chaplin for this week's episode of Working Stiff. Since I've been out of the wrestling sphere for the last couple of days, we'll be talking all things Monday Night Raw. We'll be touching on his opinions on AEW Dynamite and all of the various things going on in the world of professional wrestling. I'll get to dive a little deeper into talking about Sid. That should be up probably this evening, assuming Dom is not busy grooming his mustache. But regardless, he will be back here tomorrow at noon Eastern for Rumor and Innuendo live on a plethora of platforms, including the WWE Creative_ish X account, the SE Scoops X account, and on YouTube on ad-free shows, Rumor and Innuendo, and Working Stiff. So on behalf of I can't with that mustache, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpelis. Best of luck. Evers.
Bye, guys.